Well, good morning and welcome to part 2 of how to build a floater picture frame. I put up the first video just a few days ago, so you can go and see that if you haven't seen it already. And at the end of that video, I was discussing that I might try to add some character to the frame. I found the frame looked good, but it was a little bit boring. And I was thinking of adding some faux wood grain to it. So that's what this video is about, just trying to add some character and spice to the frame over and above what it has already. And I hope you'll find this interesting. I really wanted to give it a more rustic appearance so it would match the painting, which is a painting of a couple old World War II tanks in their landscape environment. So that's the reason I decided to do this, and hopefully you'll find this interesting in this video. Okay, here's the frame set up on the table for doing the wood grain. Now the first thing I have to do is use some of this painter's tape to define the edges of the sides here. So I need to tape off the 45-degree angle here, otherwise the grain will come right up onto the other board here, which you don't want to do. So I'm going to have to tape these off. There, just do that to the two sides first. Okay, I've got tape on 4 corners here to separate the long sides from the other sides, and I'll have to do those first. And then I'll remove the tape once it's dry, and then I'll have to tape on this side to be able to do the 2 ends. Right now I'm going to mix the glaze up that will go on top of this stained coat. I'm going to use burnt umber, which is a dark brown, and I'm going to mix it with matte medium to create a glaze. And that should stand out well against this light tan color. Okay, I'm just going to drag the glaze across on the top of this board and then follow it up with the wood grain tool and see if it works. And here's the wood graining tool set that I picked up off Amazon. I've never used these tools before, so it's a bit of a learning experience for me, but we'll see how it goes. So the wood graining tool kit I purchased came with 2 main heads and a handle, and you can see they have raised concentric ridges. This is a rubbery material, and as you can imagine, when you pull this through the wet glaze, these concentric ridges touch different parts of the glaze as you rock this back and forward, and this is what creates this grain look. As you pull it along, the glaze gets caught between these ridges and is pulled into these different shapes. It's kind of a neat technique. Here's the wider head if you're doing bigger areas. Obviously you can get them even wider than this. And then it also came with this little tool, which I probably won't be using in this project, just for making different designs in wood too. Okay, well that's not too bad. There, now we'll let those 2 sides dry. Take off the tape, put the other tape on, and then do the other ends. Okay, I'm going to try and do the 4 sides all at once just by rotating the picture frame here around on these cups. Lever it up a little bit just to get a better angle for painting. Beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that a neat effect? I think I actually figured out that I wasn't quite doing it right yesterday, but I think this confirms it. Wow, that's cool, man. That's cool. I just had a neat idea with this wood graining technique. I think when I make a few new birdhouses this spring, I'm going to use this to finish them. It really makes a nice natural looking appearance of old wood. And it would be neat to practice with a few different colors too. You can put a different base color on. You could put a gray for the base color and then do black for the grain. Or you could do dark brown and then do light for the grain. Although generally you tend to keep birdhouses a lighter color than a darker color just so they don't absorb too much heat, ideally. So there we are. The frame is completed. I just have to set it aside to dry now. Look at that, isn't that classy? So I added this clip here just to show how I spaced the border around the painting. Since you're putting the painting in on top of the back strainer boards, you can't really tell from the back when it's square. You're not putting it into a typical frame that's simply built for the size. So you have to space the border, and I used a combination of cardboard shims and player cards to do that. Got it to the point where it looked quite equal around the edges, and then I screwed it in from the bottom. And you put these shims and cards in to the point where they're tight on each side to hold it while you screw it in from the bottom. So here's the final product of all my efforts. The painting's done and varnished, and the frame is done, and the painting's been put in the frame. So I think in the end, it looks really nice, and I think the added wood grain really helped a lot. The frame was nice also, just as a tan color alone, but I think the graining really helped. Really brings out a lot of the features in the painting. It accents the grass, I think, that it has the same sort of texture, I guess, the wavy texture of the grass and the colorations of the grass as well. Overall, I'm quite happy, and my son is happy, so finally it took me a while to get it done, but pretty happy with the result.